place where it's really kind of busy right now with all the UN delegates from around the world converging and making a mess out of traffic. But anyway, we're happy to have you with us. Just a couple of quick words about International Project Management Day. If we just advance to the next slide, please, Dan. Okay, International Project Management Day this year is November 7th, 2013. And just a real quick reminder, it's a day of recognition for project managers. And we're not necessarily celebrating project management and victories and successes. We're simply taking the time to recognize project managers for all the work that they do. I'm under the impression, and I've explained to many people before, that project management as a career is underappreciated. There's a lot of challenges that a project manager must deal with each day that they work on a project. So International Project Management Day was created for the sole purpose of acknowledging the hard work of project managers, program managers, and project teams. There's more information available at www.internationalpmday.org. And I'm getting lots and lots of emails about people who are telling me about the events that they're planning for International Project Management Day. So if you have an event to share, you can send the information right to the website. You can post it on the website. You can send me an email at salatispmp@msn.com, and I'll make sure that the information gets out there. Again, it's about recognition. The event could be anything from a conference to simply a coffee break with cake and coffee, and some time to say thank you to your project managers and your project team. Okay, with that said, what I'd like to do now is I'm going to turn this over to Dan Epstein, who will present us some information about this book that they have created and an idea that they have called Project Workflow Management. So with that, Dan, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Frank. I would like to thank everybody for being here today. My name is Dan Epstein. I have over 20 years experience in project management in best practices, also several years in university teaching. I got my professional engineer certificate in '83, PMP certificate in 2001, and I also have a master's certificate from George Washington University. If you want to know more, please visit our website. You will find more information about the product, about everything, including ourselves, myself and Rich. Rich, do you want to say a couple of words about yourself?
No, I have a very similar background, Dan, also ancient, like you, and also co-author of a book called Green Project Management, which we were honored to have win the Cleveland Award in 2011. But as Dan said, to find out any more boring facts about us, visit pmworkflow.com. I'll hand it right back to you, Dan.
Okay, thank you, Rich. Okay, this is the front page of our book, and you can see it may look a little bit unusual. There's a river, and you know, the river actually symbolizes the workflow. If, let's say, you try to get from point A from here to here in the boat, it will be much easier than you walk around very steep shores. Now, agenda. I will speak just a little bit about book overview. There is a lot more information is provided in on our website. It's a pm-workflow.com. Then we'll speak about a little bit of basic definitions, just to understand what is a workflow and project workflow. I will compare PM workflow to waterfall method. They are very different methods, and you will see the difference. Then I will talk about main features of PM workflow and how they are implemented actually, because just to say this is what it's doing, it may not be enough. You want to know how it is possible to do it, and that's how I'm trying to explain it. We'll talk about PM workflow tools. We have plenty of tools there, including 3 tools that you can download from our website, some optional materials, and I would like to touch a little bit about what experts say about the book. So the overview that the book actually was written around the PM workflow framework, which is a set of detailed multi-threaded processes. And when I say multi-threaded, I mean that several processes may run at the same time. And it may run in different areas of project. And you will see it in a couple of minutes. And all those processes have, either before or after execution, logical decision making. There is a decision tables, many checklists, and also project health evaluation in almost every step. In addition, there are instructions for process execution, very detailed step-by-step instructions. And plus, we have lots of examples how it is actually done, calculations, and some other stuff in all project areas. In addition to that, when, let's say you run a project and you have a problem, so project is in trouble, then PM workflow will actually lead you to the process called troubled project assessment, which will analyze the reason for failing project. And then it will instruct project manager on corrective actions. You know, what is important that PM workflow will actually assure that all processes, all required processes are included in project execution path. Actually, it will tell you, now you execute this process, and next one you execute this process, and they are not always the same processes because it's all depends on the circumstances. So in this environment, the project manager cannot really forget about including any very important processes in a plan, such as risk assessment or earned value analysis, quality audit, and so on. Let's speak a little bit about basic definitions. We have to know what is a process model. And this is the description of the purpose of the process, what we're trying to achieve with this process. It will also outline expectation of a process implementation. In other words, it will answer the question what to do, not how, but what to do. And if you open a PMBOK guide or Six Sigma or some other literature, you know, you will find little rectangles. They call them processes, even though they are actually process models, because very few of them really explain how to do that, only what to do. So the process, the next level, is implementation of the process model design. So process answers the question how to do that in order to achieve what we're trying to achieve. Now, when we put all those processes in a sequence, so we have a step-by-step sequence of the business processes in a process workflow. Here, I also mentioned lowest decomposition level business processes. So we're talking about decomposition. We may have higher level processes and lower decomposed processes. And by the way, the decomposition of the business processes is entirely different from work decomposition that you see in work breakdown structure, for example. Very different rules. Now, when we have the process workflow, we usually indicate or depict it by the process flow diagram. And it shows all the procedural steps, or processes, in other words, also the logic to achieve what we are trying to achieve. Usually, just like any workflow, regardless of the project management, but any workflow, it identifies start and end points of each process. It usually shows direction of flow, because flow may go in different directions. It shows all the decision points, also shows results of execution of the process. Sometimes it shows alternative processes when necessary. And what is another important thing, it is also assigns responsibility for the process execution. And we in the book, we have roles and responsibilities sections in every group of the processes. And it is not only roles and responsibilities of project manager and people who work directly with project manager, but it goes all the way to management and senior management. Because if management and senior management not aware of your project, don't know anything, or maybe even don't care about this, then the chance that you succeed in delivering the project is very low. They must be involved, and roles and responsibilities describe exactly what they're supposed to do when it is necessary and when it is necessary. Now, let's see the difference between the PM workflow and the waterfall. In the waterfall, the project execution path is just sequential execution of all phases. It starts with initiation phase, then it goes to planning, and so on. In the PM workflow, the execution path will alternate forth and back between groups of related processes. And we call this group of related processes frames, as opposed to phases, because phases is sequential execution. Frame is the just group of processes. And so it goes between back and forth between groups of related processes and individual processes within each frame. Now, I'm not going in too many details. This is a diagram. It just shows interconnection of frames. So we have here requirements frame, we have here planning frame, construction frame, and closing frame. You see the terminology is quite close to PMBOK. We really try to keep the terminology very similar as much as possible. In a few cases, it is just impossible because meaning is very different. But generally, it is just about the same terminology. Now, what we see here, we have requirement frame, and we have several flows going from requirement frame to planning frame. And I will give you a few examples why this happened. And we have also several flows, process flows goes back from planning to requirements. The same between planning and construction. Some go to construction and some other go back to planning frame. And we have also from planning it goes to requirements and closing, so it goes all the way. Also inside of each frame, depending on circumstances, we may have different flows. And I would like to explain just a couple of things. Let's say we are in requirements frame. And at one point we have to do cost-benefit analysis, usually at the beginning of the requirements frame. And in order to do cost-benefit analysis, if we can do it right at the beginning, let's say, if we are able to do, let's say, ballpark estimates based on our previous knowledge of similar projects, then the request, everything is a system of requests. So request is, goes to planning frame, and then the process which does estimate, it will do the estimates, and while it is doing that, requirements frame continues work. It never stops. It goes on and on and on. There is resources who try to define requirements, document, and to do whatever is needed. Now, planning frame, it just takes one group of processes which responsible for estimates, do ballpark estimates, and return ballpark estimates to requirement frame. Another example, let's say you are in construction frame, and suddenly you have scope change request. In order to implement that scope change request, the flow has to go first to requirements frame to define requirements of the scope change. Then it will go to planning frame and so on. Meanwhile, construction frame will continue to be executed. It never stops. Of course, it all depends on available resources, for sure. But generally, you know, or you may take one resource and move it to different area temporarily, but generally, it doesn't have to stop. So, another feature is I will explain how it is done actually, that workflow directs the project flow by selecting the project flow execution path based on system of requests, decision checkpoints, and decision tables. This is important. The execution path depends on system of requests, decision checkpoints, and decision tables. We have one decision table. It's a decision table of a planning frame. On the left, you have requests. There is a, you know, like get requirements plan. There is some other get closing frame plan, everything related to planning. And on the top, we see 9 processes they called entry processes. They're not all the processes in the planning frame, but right at the entrance to the planning frame, there are 9 processes. And you can see that each request, you know, points out to execution. Let's say this process and this one, this process, and this one is not required, this one is not required. And you can see based on this, different group of processes executed depending on requests. And you may ask the question, well, what is a may? What does it mean may? I will give you just one example. Let's say we have large scope change plan. And we know we have to execute risk planning process and quality management. But when we come to communication planning, it's a may. Do we have or we don't have? The answer is simple, depending on circumstances. If your large scope change request adds, additional stakeholders, then yes, we have to execute communication planning because we want to communicate to those additional new stakeholders. Otherwise, we don't have, and that's all explained in the book. This is a process flow diagram of planning frame. You can see those rectangles, those 9 at the entrance, those and those 2 are entry processes. Now, those entry processes, of course, it is high-level processes because, let's say, risk management planning is decomposed to, I believe, to 14 elementary processes or lowest level decomposition processes. With quality management, it comes to about 30 processes altogether. So we know based on request which of those entry processes will be executed. In addition, we have some other processes, and we have control point test, or in other words, we can use them decision checkpoints, those diamonds. Now, what happens, and I'm not going to go through this planning frame, even though the book, of course, explains in all the details how the process workflow goes. Now, let's go to the next slide. You notice it's the same diagram. You see, same diagram. However, part of the processes are not shown. Only actual processes which are being executed when you do construction frame planning, they are shown here. So this is so rest of it is not relevant. So the process flow will be directed exactly based on this diagram. Let's take another one. The same planning frame, but we do planning frame, planning part. We're planning the planning frame actually. So that's different. The same diagram, but it involves different set of processes. Another thing very important that PM workflow performs qualitative assessment of outcomes and also redirect the process flow to alternative execution path when it is necessary. Also, it may suggest steps for resolution. Not always, but sometimes, yes. And look at this example. There is actually several ways how we do qualitative assessment. One way is earned value analysis. This is very important, and we know when we execute something, we want within the budget and things like this. This is what earned value analysis is going to do. So we have earned value analysis process executed. By the way, we have tool which allow you to do earned value analysis maybe in 15 seconds. If I have time, I will demonstrate this tool. It comes to control point, to decision checkpoint, acceptable variance or not. If the variance is acceptable, then, and of course, you have to have acceptance criteria. If you don't have acceptance criteria, then you don't know with what you're going to compare the results. But acceptance criteria, you have acceptance criteria, and it says yes, acceptable variance, then everything is fine, and it goes, continues the cycle. If it is no, it goes to the process called trouble project assessment. This process will allow you to identify possible reasons for our troubles. It probably will identify more than one, maybe 2, maybe 3, it depends. But at least those are processes that most likely are the reason for our problems. Once we identify them, it comes to take corrective actions. So we plan based on those reasons. We know what is wrong, so we plan how to fix them. And the thing is, sometimes we can fix them, and sometimes it is impossible. Say we are very late in delivering the project. We see project is really late, and the client needs it by the date when we promised to deliver it. So what happens? And we cannot do that in the scope, identified scope. So we talk to client and we say, look, we can deliver it, that's our plan when we're going to deliver, or if you want to have it, maybe it's a little bit reduced scope, but on the day when you want it delivered. And then maybe very critical situation, they may lose lots of money if they, client, don't have the product, end product available and running. So the client may agree and say, okay, let's go and do scope change. So if no scope change required, that means that we took corrective action, everything is fine. So it goes away. Now, if yes, then flow goes back to requirements frame in order to produce requirements for the scope change, to identify what can be removed, what can be changed, and so on. So this is a one-way quality earned value analysis. Another way is checklist. We have 14 checklists that cover actually all areas of the project. This is just one example, financial audit checklist. We have here 10 questions. Some checklists have 20 questions. It depends on what actually we're trying to audit. And what we have here, we have the questions. On the right, we have answers. All the answers must be yes. If we have no answer, that means we have a gap. The project manager has to fix it, has to eliminate the gap before the quality audit. Before the quality audit, not on the quality audit. A project manager goes through all the checklists, identifies, and when he or she feels everything is okay, all answers are yes, then he or she put yes. Now, if you have yes, you must have documented proof. This is indeed yes. So let's look just a couple of those questions. Is the project running on schedule within the approved budget? That means plus minus 10% of the schedule and cost variance. Answer must be yes. And of course, you can provide documentation showing that, yeah, you are on schedule, everything is fine. Another question is, are the actual efforts spent captured at least weekly? And that means we have a process, we have a requirement which says that we have to capture actual efforts weekly. Okay? The next one, it says whether those captured actual efforts compare to planned ones. And we, of course, that means that we run earned value analysis. Otherwise, how you can compare that? There are all kinds of ways, but earned value analysis is the way to go. Another one, have other costs such as travel, equipment, etc., captured at least weekly. And of course, that means all based on existing processes. And when you answer yes, and it's indeed yes, that means the financial part of the project is handled properly. Everything is okay. So again, project manager checks all checklists, makes sure all of them yes, and then he or she goes for the audit. And then what happens? The quality analyst checks everything, and he or she finds that not everything is fine. Yeah, it says yes to all questions, but some of them don't have the proper documentation. They may have some, it is not sufficient. So the quality analyst marks the gaps, that the gap here, here, and here. It shouldn't be too many, very few, because if too many, then it's a very bad situation. But it says, okay, eliminate gaps. Once gaps are eliminated, then quality analyst rate QA audit. And the rate is pass or fail. So here we have a control point. Test, it says QA audit passed. If yes, then that's fine. It goes out and continues the execution. But if it is no, then it comes to the process called escalate non-compliance. And you have to understand, the project manager went twice through those checklists. Still, he or she wasn't able to fix all the gaps. So there is a very basic fundamental problem. That's why it goes to escalate non-compliance. Actually, escalation is a process when you can avoid it, you better do that, because it usually screws up relationship between people, and it's difficult. When it goes to escalate non-compliance, who actually involves? Senior management. They see the situation. The project management is not able to provide the proper quality of the project. So have to decide, either project manager get extra training or whatever they decide, because we don't tell them what to do. Our process stops at the moment when they send escalation complaint to proper people. Now the PM workflow actually improves project quality. Of course, you already understand that, because it requires compliance with all required project management processes. And that means, we build the quality in. If we comply and we work with all the processes, implement them, so we build the quality in. So by the time when product is ready, out, it has a good quality built in. And if we have product with good quality product, and of course it saves company expenses. You don't have to fix it. Don't have to come back to the product and see what are the problems and try to fix it. And we have in the book about 50 project business process flows, diagrams actually, around 50 diagrams. Now, another feature that, because PM workflow has very detailed explanation, not only what to do, but explain how to do, and provide lots of tools, examples, templates, practical techniques, and gives you step-by-step guidance. So even an inexperienced reader who have no previous PM skills will be able to manage project. Say small project for the beginning. The next one, it may be medium-sized project. Today, in order to prepare someone to manage project, it takes lots of efforts, lots of money. And PM workflow actually, because of this, it minimizes need for experienced and, of course, expensive project managers. So the less experienced project managers can take place, instead of more experienced project managers, and because PM workflow will prevent them to make life cycle errors, most life cycle errors. So that means that senior project managers will be able to run programs, portfolio management. They will also probably have to do some oversight over less experienced project managers. And this better use of resources will, of course, reduce cost of the project, because, when place a project, when you had senior project manager, can be managed by intermediate level project manager, and small project can be managed by novice project manager, junior, or even the people who never managed anything before. So it again saving costs. And again, because the book has lots of information and explains step-by-step guidance, it can be a reference to all project managers, new and experienced project managers, in practically every step of the project life cycle. Another thing is PM workflow will make it easier for corporations to implement project management processes. I hear, yeah, but many corporations already have they have implemented a full set of processes. Now look whether you have any problems with a project. And I guarantee there are 7% of projects which are not successful. Why this happened? If all the processes are there, so you can build the quality in. Because there is a process, and then the project manager decides, okay, I will follow. Maybe I'm not going to follow this. I just don't have time, and so on. It doesn't happen with PM workflow, because it tells you very specifically, you have to run this specific process. And if you say no, and by the way, there is another tool which tells you when you start and when you finish executing specific business process. You know, to falsify this information, it is probably a condition of your employment. So this will definitely, if you have PM workflow, it will improve even what you have. Also, some project managers, senior project managers say, you know, we know that all. We don't have, you know, to follow anything. Nobody is going to tell us what to do. We know what to do. And the thing is, you know, being best practices professional, I had a chance to look into plans, project plans made by project managers with 10 or 15 years experience. And what I found, just astonishing. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them really ignore resource loading. It is very easy to get this report from Microsoft Project, from Clarity, I guess from Primavera. I'm not familiar with Primavera. But, you know, and when you look and you see some resources loaded 120%, some resources loaded 160%. In the worst case, I saw that resource was loaded for 800%. Can you really expect the proper delivery of this project with this type of planning? There is another thing, you know, very few project managers, unless it is strictly imposed by the company, by the organization, they rarely do earned value analysis. They don't even enter resource rates into their plan. So still using PM workflow, it will give a lot in order to improve the project management processes, even for experienced project manager, even for corporations which already have processes implemented. Now, since it's a workflow, it constitutes, PM workflow constitutes a visible path for creating a software application for automation of the project management activities. Many of you know that it is probably the easiest way to write software if you do it based on the existing workflow. Because, you know, many questions just not asked, because we know already exactly what to do, what are checkpoints, what are you know, conditions, what are the results. Everything is already known. So you just write the software, and you can write software to implement PM workflow. Now, 35 minutes. Okay. I think I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. I speak very fast. I hope it doesn't bother anybody, you know. So PM workflow provides methods and tools to communicate information and the control project execution. And the following is a list of those methods and tools. First, multiple checklists. And you saw one, and we have 14 of those checklists, and those 14 checklists will ensure that all processes are followed, beginning from requirements gathering and ending with delivery of the project to the client at the end. Product, not the project, product to the client. We have another tool called Project Control Book for recording and communicating all project information, and metrics. Sorry, there's also lots of metrics that we have to gather during execution of PM workflow. In every area we have a set of metrics. So all Project Control Book will record everything there. And that everything, I mean really everything. Even if, let's say, you walk in the hall and you meet someone, and that someone says, you know, I just heard rumor there is a new government regulation is coming, which will require this and this and this, and you know it will affect your project. Of course, you don't have to do anything about this, but you have to think, if this really comes, and you have to document it in the Project Control Book, and if really this comes to implementation, that really this new government regulation comes, then you know already, at least have some basic plan what to do in order to fix it. Also, this data, it can be entered into the database. And once in the database, then everybody can see what were successful methods applied in the project, and they can use it, and they can apply those successful methods in the future project. Also, it will prevent them repeating the same mistakes made in the previous projects. So that's a project control book. We have established acceptance criteria for most processes. So it says, this is what's acceptable, this is not acceptable. So you know with what you're going to compare results of execution. We have plenty of templates, lots of templates. And this is templates for status report, different status reports. This way you meet the knowledge transfer. You facilitate the knowledge transfer to all the people who have to know that. We have a tool, the actual tool to do earned value analysis. If you have a minute at the end of the presentation, I will show you one of those tools, and I would prefer to show earned value analysis, that you can do it, and as I said, in 15, maybe 20 seconds maximum. And this way you can evaluate project health. Also, there is a tool and method to produce risk assessment. It also proposes some basic risk plan. It says, for this risk, you can do this and this and this, and you just use it. It will be the basic risk plan. You may need more to that, and when you run the tool, you will see it will offer you some additional options to enter additional risks and to produce additional elements of the risk plan. We have also a tool for instant indication of client satisfaction level. When you ask client how it is going, they say, it's more or less okay, sometimes we have issues, generally it is more or less. Now this tool, based on several questions to a client, will actually calculate the level of client satisfaction. And it will say, client is satisfied by 80%. Is it good? I would say it's bad. It cannot be less than 85%. That's my opinion. And the tool will actually rate the client satisfaction. It will say less than 85. It will say you have an issue, and that's what you have to look at in order to resolve it. Also, we have another tool. It's very simple. It's just a spreadsheet. And this tool will control multi-threaded process execution and tracking. What is this? You won't see this information in Microsoft project, for example, but what it shows, let's say we have a change request. It will show you exactly when the change request was received. It will show you exactly when the first review of the change request was done by either project manager or project manager and the team. Then it will show you exactly when project manager approved change request for implementation. Then it will show you when client approved funds for this change request. Very modular level. So it will help you to know exactly what is going on in the project, not only to get a regular status report from developers. I would like to speak a little bit about what's happening with existing planning and tracking tools. We all know Microsoft Project, Clarity, Primavera, and other tools. We all love them. We just cannot imagine we don't have them. It's very important for us. However, if you look what they do, they don't control inclusion of some, when you plan, for example, they don't control inclusion of some essential project processes in the plan. For example, if someone just don't put anything in the plan about risk management, Microsoft Project won't tell you, hey, you forgot something. No, it is really up to the individual project manager. And of course, maybe some corporate guidelines to decide what to include, what not to include. Now, when you track with those tools, it will show you accurately, well, provided that you do earned value analysis and you enter resource rates and you enter some other information, then it will tell you, yeah, that's what we have now, And you may compare it yourself with expected project outcomes, what was initially planned. But they won't make any qualitative assessment and won't tell you, oh, that situation is very bad. It's up to you to decide. It won't direct you to some steps which are needed to manage that issue that we have. So, and that means that the quality of a project using those tools, it correlates directly with the project manager's experience and ability. You have good project manager, you have good project plan. You don't, then you are in trouble. Project plan will be very weak and is not really implementable. If someone developed a new tool based on PM workflow, first it will automate project execution. It will tell project manager exactly what to do next from the very first moment when you have a project request submission to the project closure. It will perform qualitative assessment of outcomes all the time. It will, every time it implements, it run the process, execute the process, it will fetch the next process. It will say, now this is the process you have to execute based on those results. And when issues are there, it will redirect process flow to alternative path. This is what tool can do. This new tool, this new application, will eliminate a human factor, creating a nearly error-free project management process. Even, in PM workflow, when you do it manually, you can somehow forget, you can somehow skip, you can somehow say, I don't have time to do that, and go to the next one. With the application, it will never let you do that. And I believe that such a tool may truly revolutionize project management. It may seamlessly incorporate existing project management tools. However, some of those project management tools will require some modifications. And I know what modifications are needed, and if necessary, I will be glad to help, about those modifications. So this is about tools. We have 4 downloadable tools included with the book. You can get on our website, pmworkflow.com, and we can download risk assessment tool, earned value analysis tool, client satisfaction tool, and there's also a description of all downloadable tools. I really recommend that you read the description because, and I know that you rather use instructions when nothing else helps, but I recommend if you do it, will save some issues that you may have later. Now, we offer also optional materials on our website, Teaching Aid CD. Those Teaching Aid CD includes 940 PowerPoint slides covering all chapters. 940 slides is something, it covers the entire, PM project management class, based on the PM workflow. Also, it will include all process flow diagrams. It has 375 open questions for quizzes and exams. It also has assignments for hands-on exercises, handout to students, and teachers' instruction for each exercise. I would like to speak a little bit about what experts say about PM workflow. Dr. Kerzner. You probably know this name. He is the author of over 20 project management books. He wrote them. He read lots of other books. And that's what he says, that PM workflow appears to be the best alternative and significantly more valuable to the project manager than complex methodologies. Another opinion, another review, it's just a small part of the review they actually did. This is a Samir Pankar. He's the author of the book Project Management Journey. That's what he says. This is an ambitious book with the potential to take project management in a new direction, challenging our entrenched beliefs in the current project management methodologies. This is a very strong statement. Jerry Hill, he is the author of 2 PM books. The last one is a complete project management methodology and toolkit. He said it's great cover, and by the way, you know, he is our direct competitor, and he stated so. It was clear to me from the beginning, and when he got request to do review of our books, said, guys, do you know that I'm your direct competitor? Nevertheless, he did this review. He could say, sorry guys, I won't do this review, and I wouldn't be you know, surprised. It would be fine actually, but he did review it. That's what he wrote. Great coverage. It takes the processes of project management to a new, higher level of competency. You know, this publication effectively addresses all essential project management processes needed to ensure a successful project outcome. This is what Jerry Hill said. Kay Weiss. Kay wrote that reading this book is the equivalent of a college course plus spending 2 years managing projects inside a highly functioning organization. Well, you know, that means that someone who reads the book is not just he got some basic education in project management, but he got some like experience, 2-year experience managing projects inside highly functioning organization. This is also a very strong statement. And you understand, you know, for companies, it will be much cheaper to buy a book and let everybody read it than, you know, doing trial and error, letting them manage some project and, you know, and fixing the error and so on. Another gentleman, his name is Jean Binder from Switzerland. He is a Cleland Award winner for Global Project Management book. He said it provides a comprehensive list of what needs to be done in a project while explaining how it can be done. And I would like to add, PM Workflow also explains when it has to be done. If you want to see more reviews, you can go to pmworkflow.com. There are 12 reviews by very high-profile experts, and you can read what they think about this book. Also, we would be happy to have your feedback. You can do feedback on that website and the blog page, and you can feedback about the book, and also if you have the book, not just a presentation, I mean the book also, if you have a chance to read the book. Now I have to make an announcement made by the publisher. The book was supposed to be released today. Now, last week I heard that it will be released in October. I believe this is credible now because the book is in the printing house. And they say it takes between 3 to 5 weeks, and this really covers, you know, they claim, they promise that the book will be released in October 2013. And because of this, you know, their failure to deliver the book on time, they're offering $20 pre-publishing direct sale discount until end of October. And they promise that the book will be shipped by 10/29/2013. So you can go to their website. Here is is a link to their website and also the coupon code. You can, with this coupon, you can buy the book for $59.95. The retail price is $89.95 and $20 off the direct sale discount, $10 and another $20, so $59.95. And I believe that in Amazon it's going to be $89.95, even though delivery, handling and shipping is free. The publisher charges about $10 for shipping and handling. Still, it is a good deal if you decide if you want to see the book actually. So, sorry. So this is actually my presentation. I would like to show you, I believe we have a few minutes, and I would like to show you at least one tool. We won't have time for more. I close this, and I will open the tool. Okay, the first thing, it will tell you that we have to enable macros. We don't have any macros in those tools. However, I put there some coding, programming, and because of the programming, you have to enable macros in order to see properly the tool. So you click on Enable Macros. That's one of the things. If you say, no, I don't want, I'm afraid, then tool is not going to work. And you see, I click on Enable Macros, and nothing happens, no viruses. You see, I'm kidding, of course. Now, we have Earned Value Analysis tool. What we have to put here, let's start today. Date is 9/24/2013. Then let's go to initial budget, budgeted completion. Let's say $1 million. 1, 2, 3, 6, right? Okay. Next one, project start date, 4/1/2013. Let's go to the planned end date, and we wanted it finished 3/31/2013. Then actual, those three values, actual cost, earned value, and planned value, you can get from your scheduling tool, from a Microsoft project or Clarity, or I guess also Primavera. So you put AC 550,123, okay, 550,000. We are approximately in the middle of the project, okay? Earned value 450,123. Next one is the planned value. We plan to have exactly half of the project, 500,000. So we entered all the information. We click on Calculate, and that's what we have. It says project is over the budget by $100,000, behind the schedule by $50,000, and we have cost performance index 0.82 or 82%, and scheduled performance 90%. We have estimated completion, we have variance at completion, and we also have estimated, oh, you know what, I made a mistake here, I'm sorry, I put 13 to end date, it cannot be, that's a clear calc. This is 3/31/2014, okay? Now calculate. Now we have, correct, I'm sorry, you, as programmers say, garbage in, garbage out, and that's what happened now, because I made the planned end date before start date. Okay, so we have over the budget, we have behind the schedule, we have indices, we have estimated completion. At the end, we have estimated completion date. It says instead of March 31st, we're going to get it by May 12, if we have exactly the same indices, performance and schedule indices. So this is just about everything I wanted to show you. Now, back to Frank. We have about 5 minutes left. Back to Frank. Frank?
Okay, thanks a lot, Dan. There are just a couple of questions here. Actually, I was sending a few questions to Rich when he was answering them, but we had a question from Joseph I wanted to address. Joseph asked the question, is this a standalone application or can it be an enterprise one?
You mean the application if it is developed, you mean, right? Because yes, right now it is not an application, it's just a methodology. Application, of course, you know, it depends how they develop. They can develop enterprise-wide. I don't see any problem why not to do that. Of course they can do it, or they can do it based on each specific project. But there is no reason why it cannot be enterprise-wide.
Okay, so right now this is pretty much a standalone type of a tool that has a potential application to be enterprise-wide.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. All right. Now there's another question. I'm not really sure if it's a question. It came in from, I think that was the same question from Joseph. Okay. Vince is asking a question. have you thought about applying this to Agile and Scrum?
Well, I planned, and I was thinking about Agile. Yes, of course. And if you read the book, it explains how you can use Agile methodology in using PM workflow. Absolutely. There is explanation how you can do it.
Okay. From another question we have is, please let me know the website URL from where to download this earned value analysis tool. So this gets back to your tools available that readers have. So you want to give them that website?
Yeah, of course. It is www.pm-workflow.com.
Okay. Now, what you might want to do is just back up in your. I guess you're out of the slide presentation right now. I was going to say if you go back to it and post your information, your contact information, so that people can direct questions right to you and get that information. So you may want to just bring that back up again.
Absolutely, I will do that. Absolutely. Just 1 second.
Yes, and I'd add that we also have a Twitter account on PM Workflow. So at PM Workflow, you'll find tweets with updates and so forth on the book and these tools.
Yeah. Okay. And this is the website address. Okay. You can get lots of information there. There is many pages, and there is a blog page, and I would love to hear from you if you put some information in the blog page. There is a news page, everything related to PM workflow. There is downloads page. You can download tools, and I showed you just one tool. There are 3 tools, and if you download it, check them out, and I'm pretty sure you will find them useful.
Okay, now I had sent a question that I don't know if the audience saw. I know Rich saw it, but I'm going to repeat it. My question was, how will the PM workflow impact the continuing issue of failed projects and projects that are only partially successful? In other words, will it reduce the number of troubled projects and organization experiences? I mean, this arrangement, you had quotes from Dr. Kerzner and several other people about the effectiveness of this particular approach. Do you think that it's going to actually help us out with the continued problems of troubled projects?
Well, if you start PM workflow implementation in the environment when you have already failing project, it will be very difficult because a PM workflow is built on implementation of all built-in processes. If you fail to implement some processes, then definitely you're going to have problems. However, if you use the methods shown, there's nothing entirely new. It is not eye-opening. There are the things that many people use in order to determine the reason for troubled project. You can do assessment, but the thing is, you can do assessment, you can find lots of reasons, but the main reason is that processes are not followed. This is the main thing. Once the enterprise streamline all the processes, makes sure they are all implemented, then you won't have that many problems. From time to time, maybe, but those will be relatively simple issues that you can resolve relatively easy.
Okay, well, we're about ready to wrap up our webinar here. I am going to put the PDU information up so people can actually see it. So let me see if I can get to my screen, and I will put the PDU information up there so you can see it. Okay, so you should be seeing my PDU information. Okay, you get 1 PDU for today, the project workflow management. If you have questions about it, you are given some contact information for both Rich and Dan. We invite your comments and additional questions. If we didn't answer your question, then we can certainly gather up those questions, pass them on to the authors, and they can then respond to you individually. Joseph asked one other question, is this going to be available as an e-book? Rich or Dan, is that a plan that you'll have this as an e-book at some point in time?
Well, at some point, but probably not at the beginning, because publishers said it probably doesn't make any sense from publisher's point of view to make ebook. It's going to be probably for a year, year and a half as a paper book. Then it will be probably ebook as well.
Okay.
That's what publisher told me.
All right, thanks a lot, Dan. That's Dan Epstein and Rich Maltzman. The book Project Workflow Management and the process that they believe was going to make an impact on how we manage projects to get projects to be more successful. And so I hope that you enjoyed the presentation. And Rich and Dan, thank you again for joining us. Those of you that are PMPs, you do get one PDU. It's Category B. And all the information is displayed on here. So take a minute, go to your PMI account, claim your one PDU. And just as a reminder, remember that International Project Management Day is November 7th of 2013. It's the first Thursday of November every year. We are getting a lot of information from people and organizations that are planning events in recognition of and in observance of International Project Management Day. As I said before, what we really want to do is bring attention to the project management career. Is something that we would like people to consider going into. That in many cases we find people saying, even this morning in a class that I was teaching, that the project management seems to be an unappreciated profession. So let's build that up. Let's show people the value of being a project manager, what project management can do to an organization. PMI says that their main goal is to make project management indispensable to business. My goal and the goal of International Project Management Day is to show people that the project manager is indispensable to business. So I'd like to thank you all for being here. Thank you, Dan, again. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Renee, for helping to organize this. And we'll see you on the next webinar for International Project Management Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Frank.